The first thing I registered was the dull throb in my legs, a deep, insistent ache that vibrated through my entire body. My eyelids felt like sandpaper, glued shut, but when I finally forced them open, all I saw was a sterile white ceiling and a tangle of metal bars above me. Traction. Right. The crash. My old band's song, Concrete Heart, had been blaring on the radio, a cruel irony, just before everything went black. I'm Shanice, 28 years old, and my life just became a before and after. My phone, miraculously intact, lay on the bedside table. I reached for it, my fingers clumsy, and the screen lit up with a notification. It was from my mother, Cassandra. My heart did a little flutter, a stupid, hopeful thing, thinking maybe she'd ask if I was okay. Instead, the text read, Shanice, we can't afford this drama right now. Please think about your sister's wedding. Sierra is so stressed. My jaw clenched. Drama? I'd just had both my legs pulverized. While I lay there, staring at the ceiling, my mother's primary concern was the optics of my accident on Sierra's big day. I scrolled through my newsfeed, a masochistic impulse, and there it was. Sierra's latest post, a glowing selfie with her fiancé captioned, "Only 30 days until Cancun. So excited for our luxury wedding." My younger sister, Sierra, 25, was living her best life, oblivious. The hospital room felt colder, emptier. No flowers, no visitors. Just the hum of machines and the distant chatter of nurses. My father, Kent, hadn't called. He never did when Mum was upset, which was always. He'd just go quiet, hoping the storm would pass. My cousin, Margaret, 36, had sent a text a few days ago. "Praying for you, Shanice. So sorry." But a text was all it was. No visit, no offer to help. Just distant, well-meaning words. A bitter taste filled my mouth, metallic and sharp. My family! They were a perfectly curated picture for public consumption, and I was the inconvenient smudge, lying there, broken and alone, a fierce resolve hardened in my chest. I would never ask them for anything again. Not a dime, not a visit, not even a sympathetic glance. I was done. The days blurred into a monotonous cycle of pain and exhaustion. Physical therapy started, and it was brutal. Every stretch, every tiny movement of my broken legs felt like fire. Lee, my physical therapist, was a quiet guy, maybe a year older than me, but he had this calm, steady presence. He'd push me, but always with a professional kindness, never letting me give up. He was the only consistent face I saw. My family. Still MIA. Cassandra called once, not to ask how I was, but to complain about the hospital bills. "Shanice, your insurance is denying coverage for some of this. It's a nightmare. We're already stretched thin with Sierra's wedding. Just pray about it, honey." Pray about it. That was her version of help. My father, Kent, sent a single text. "Hope you feel better soon." No visits, no calls, just an empty platitude. It was always like this. Growing up, I was the one who had to be responsible, the one who had to watch out for Sierra. I remember when she was 7, she broke a vase playing catch in the living room. Cassandra blamed me, even though I was just reading in my room. "You're the older sister, Shanice. You should have known better." Sierra just stood there, wide-eyed, playing the innocent victim. It set the tone for everything. The bills kept piling up, a stark reminder of my new reality. My savings were dwindling fast. Then a package arrived. It was from London, my old bandmate. Inside was a care package full of snacks, a new book, and a handwritten note. "Heard you were laid up. Thinking of you, Shanice. You're tougher than anyone I know. London, 32, always had my back. He was the only one who truly understood the music, the hustle, but snacks weren't going to pay the rent on my old apartment, which I was still technically paying for, or the mounting medical co-pays. I made a decision that gutted me. I called London, asked him to go to my place and retrieve my prized vintage Fender Telecaster, the one I'd saved for years to buy, the one that had seen countless gigs. I told him to sell it. The money would keep me afloat for a few more weeks. Watching it go was like losing a limb all over again. That night, scrolling through Instagram, I saw another post from Sierra, a picture of her at a resort pool, drink in hand, captioned, "Pre-wedding relaxation, so grateful for this much-needed escape." I snapped. I opened a new tab, signed up for an anonymous blogging platform, and started typing. No names, no specific details, just raw, unfiltered stories about family betrayal, about being invisible when you needed them most. I hit publish. Within days, the comments started rolling in, thousands of them, people relating, sharing their own stories. It was like I'd found my voice again, even if it was just a whisper in the digital wind. The physical pain was a constant companion, but it was the invisible wounds that festered. The resentment, a cold, hard knot in my gut, grew with every ignored call and every tone-deaf social media post from my family. My anonymous blog became my sanctuary. I poured out stories from my past, thinly veiled anecdotes about being the scapegoat, about the constant comparisons to Sierra, about my mother's obsession with appearances. It was cathartic, a release I hadn't realized I desperately needed. The blog's readership wasn't just growing, it was exploding. Thousands of comments, emails, and direct messages flooded in. Strangers shared their own stories of family dysfunction, of feeling unseen and unheard. It was validating, terrifying, and empowering all at once. People saw me, even if they didn't know me. Lee, my physical therapist, noticed the change in me. He'd see me typing furiously on my phone during breaks. One day, he asked, "What's got you so focused? You look like you're writing a manifesto." I just smiled, a real smile for the first time in weeks. "Something like that?" I mumbled. He looked at me, serious. "You have a powerful voice, Shanice. You should think about publishing something more seriously." Later, London called. He'd been following my blog, having recognized my writing style. "Shanice, this stuff is powerful. People are connecting with it. You should turn this into a book, a memoir. Tell your whole story." The idea lodged itself in my mind. A memoir. Exposing my family, even anonymously, felt like a betrayal. But then, another post from Sierra popped up. A group selfie with Cassandra and Kent, all smiling, perfectly coiffed, captioned, "So grateful for a perfect family." Blessed family goals. The hypocrisy burned. Perfect family. While I was selling my guitar to pay medical bills, while I was learning to walk again, alone, my fury intensified, solidifying my resolve. They wanted a perfect image? I'd show them the truth behind the filter. I started outlining the memoir in my head, the title already forming. The weight I had to walk alone. Then, the mail arrived. A thick envelope, official-looking. I tore it open, my heart pounding. It was a legal notice from my mother. She wanted my old car, the one I'd left at their house, sold. The proceeds, it stated, were to partially cover Shanice's outstanding hospital debt. My blood ran cold. She wasn't just abandoning me. She was actively trying to profit from my misfortune. The legal notice felt like a punch to the gut. Not just the audacity, but the cold, calculated way she'd done it. I called Cassandra, my voice trembling with a mixture of disbelief and rage. "What the hell is this, Mom?" I demanded, clutching the phone. Her voice, smooth and practiced, oozed fake concern. "Shanice? Honey, don't be dramatic. It's just practical. That car is sitting there, depreciating, and the bills are enormous. We're trying to help you, really. You always bring drama, you know that? We just want peace, especially with Sierra's wedding so close." Drama. Peace. The familiar gaslighting made my blood boil. She always twisted things, making me the villain, the inconvenient truth. I hung up, shaking. A few hours later, my phone buzzed with a message from Margaret. "Shanice, I saw the group chat. Mom's planning to keep you away from the wedding. Said she can't risk negative attention." "I'm so sorry." My cousin, Margaret, always the timid one, had finally broken ranks, even if it was just a whispered warning. The screenshot she sent confirmed it. Cassandra explicitly stating I was a liability and discussing strategies to ensure I wasn't present at Sierra's lavish Cancun ceremony. The emotional fallout was immense, but it didn't break me. It forged me. My resolve, already hardened, became an unbreakable steel. They wanted to erase me from their perfect picture. Fine, I would paint my own. I started outlining the weight I had to walk alone. In earnest, sketching out chapters, recalling every slight, every moment of abandonment. This wouldn't just be a blog post, it would be a reckoning. Weeks turned into months. The physical therapy was still grueling, but I pushed harder. Lee was a silent witness to my transformation, never commenting on my blog or my obvious anger, just focusing on my progress. One afternoon, after what felt like an eternity, I took my first wobbly solo steps. No crutches, no walker, just me, holding on to the parallel bars, one foot in front of the other. Lee gave a small, approving nod, a quiet smile. "That's it, Shanice. You've got this." I looked at my reflection in the mirrored wall of the therapy room. My hair was longer, my face a little gaunt, but my eyes held a fire I hadn't seen before. I would walk tall again. Not for them, but for myself. That night, I published a new blog entry, a raw, emotional piece about finding strength in solitude, about the quiet determination to rebuild when everyone expects you to crumble. It went viral. My inbox exploded with emails from media outlets, eager to hear more. The viral blog post opened doors I hadn't even considered. After fielding a dozen inquiries, I finally connected with a literary agent who saw the raw power in my story. Within weeks, I was negotiating with a publisher. I was careful, insistent, that the memoir, while deeply personal, would maintain a veneer of anonymity regarding my family's specific identities. The publisher agreed, understanding the legal and ethical tightrope, but also the universal appeal of a story about resilience in the face of family neglect. London was my rock through it all. He read every draft, offering not just encouragement but also sage warnings. "Shanice, this is powerful, but you know what happens when you poke the bear. Be ready for the backlash, even if you don't name names. People will connect the dots." I nodded, already prepared. The thought of backlash no longer scared me. It fueled me. My recovery was still ongoing, but I was making incredible strides. I'd moved out of my old apartment, finding a more accessible place in a new city, a fresh start. The move felt symbolic, a physical severing of ties. I was still attending physical therapy with Lee, but now I was walking with a cane, sometimes even without it for short distances. The publisher set up a pre-launch podcast interview. I spoke openly, honestly, about the accident, the grueling recovery, and the profound loneliness of battling through it without the support I'd expected. I didn't mention names, but the emotional truth was undeniable. The podcast episode trended locally. My phone buzzed constantly with messages from old acquaintances, former bandmates, people who knew of my family, reaching out in shock and sympathy. Meanwhile, Sierra's wedding was a constant presence on social media. My mother, Cassandra, posted endless photos of the lavish ceremony in Cancun, the reception, the honeymoon. Every post was a carefully curated tableau of happiness, not a single mention of me, not a single hint of the reality behind their perfect family. It was as if I'd been completely erased. The day my book launch billboard went up in my new city, I took a photo. I stood tall, unaided, a cane leaning against the wall beside me, but not in my hand. The billboard loomed behind me, a giant image of my book cover, the weight I had to walk alone. I sent the photo to my family in a group chat. No caption, just the image. Moments later, my phone vibrated, a message from Sierra, the first time she'd contacted me in months. "Can we talk?" It read. Sierra's message, "Can we talk?" felt less like a plea and more like a delayed reaction to the billboard photo. I didn't reply. I knew what was coming. The memoir, The Weight I Had to Walk Alone, launched, and it was an overnight bestseller. The raw honesty, the thinly veiled stories of family neglect, the journey of healing alone, it resonated with millions. I was booked on national podcasts, my face appearing on news segments. The anonymity I'd tried to maintain for my family was crumbling fast. Extended family members, family friends, even distant acquaintances started recognizing the stories. The details were too specific, the emotional beats too familiar. The tidal wave hit the Reynolds family hard. Cassandra and Kent, once pillars of their church and social circles, found themselves ostracized. Whispers followed them. Invitations stopped coming. The carefully constructed facade of their perfect family was cracking under the weight of my words. Sierra's meticulously documented wedding memories on social media were hijacked by comments and gossip about my book. Her perfect Cancun dream was now tainted by the messy reality I'd exposed. The damage control scramble began. First, a furious email from Cassandra threatening legal action for defamation. I forwarded it to my publisher's legal team, who simply laughed. My book was carefully vetted, every detail anonymized enough to be legally sound, yet emotionally true. When the threats didn't work, her tone shifted. Texts and voicemails started flooding in, begging, pleading. "Shanice, please, think about what you're doing to your family. We love you. This isn't fair." The hypocrisy was staggering. I was in my new apartment, preparing for another interview, when my phone rang. It was my media contact, a publicist from the publishing house. "Shanice, just got a heads up. Your family, specifically your mother, Cassandra, is holding a press conference this afternoon. They're planning to address your lies." My stomach clenched, but a cold, hard resolve settled over me. Lies? They wanted to play this game in public? Fine. I would meet them there. The news cycle was a frenzy. My family's press conference was scheduled for 3 p.m. My publicist quickly arranged a live interview for me on a major news network, set to air right after theirs. It was time to go live and unfiltered. I sat in the studio, the bright lights hot on my face, a microphone clipped to my lapel. On the monitor, I watched Cassandra, Kent, and a tearful Sierra stand before a bank of cameras. Cassandra, ever the actress, spoke first, her voice trembling with feigned sorrow. "We are heartbroken by these vicious, untrue allegations. Shanice has always been troubled. We've done everything we could as loving parents." Kent stood stiffly beside her, nodding, his usual passive self. Sierra dabbed her eyes, looking distraught. They were denying everything, painting me as the unstable, ungrateful child. My turn came. The anchor turned to me. "Shanice, your family is publicly refuting your claims. What do you say to that?" I looked directly into the camera, my voice steady, calm. "I say, the truth has a way of coming out." I held up my phone. "I have recordings. I have texts." I played the voicemail from Cassandra complaining about my hospital bills while Sierra's wedding was happening, then the one begging me to retract my book. I showed the legal notice trying to sell my car. Then the screenshot Margaret had sent. Cassandra's words about keeping me away from the wedding. The studio audience gasped. The anchor's eyes widened. I continued, detailing the years of neglect, the emotional manipulation, the constant favoritism towards Sierra. My voice never wavered. Then, a surprise. London, who had been watching from the green room, stepped forward. "I can corroborate Shanice's account," he said, his voice clear. "I was there for years. I saw it. I helped her sell her guitar to pay her medical bills when her family was nowhere to be found." Even Margaret, emboldened, sent a text to the news desk, which the anchor read aloud, confirming the group chat message. Cassandra's reputation was in tatters. Sierra's social media plummeted, her carefully curated image shattered. Kent withdrew, his face a mask of defeat. The public sympathy was overwhelmingly on my side, but the backlash was also immediate and fierce. Strangers, trolls, accusing me of being vindictive, of destroying my own family. The interview ended. I was alone in the quiet dressing room, the echoes of my revenge ringing hollow. I stared at my phone. A final message from Cassandra. "You got what you wanted. Hope you're happy." Cassandra's bitter message lingered on my screen, a final poisoned arrow. "You got what you wanted. Hope you're happy." The words echoed the hollowness in my chest. Vindicated? Yes. But happy. The victory felt strangely cold, an empty space where I'd expected triumph. The public had rallied. My book was a phenomenon, but the emotional cost was immense. I was alone in my new city, the estrangement from my family now absolute, public, and irreversible. Lee, my physical therapist, was one of the few people who saw past the public persona. He'd seen me at my lowest, and now he saw me through the aftermath. "You did what you had to do, Shanice," he said quietly during our next session, watching me walk unaided across the room. It's okay for it to feel complicated. London came to visit, bringing takeout and a bottle of wine. We sat on my new apartment floor, talking for hours. "The book's incredible, Shanice," he said, raising his glass. "You really told your truth. But it's a heavy truth to carry." He understood the weight of it, the quiet loneliness that settled in after the storm. Then, a text from Margaret. It wasn't a distant praying for you this time. "Shanice, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so sorry for everything, for not being there. Can we actually talk? No drama, just honesty. Maybe coffee sometime?" Her message was a small, unexpected warmth. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a bridge, an acknowledgement that not all family was lost. I looked at Cassandra's final message again. "You got what you wanted." She was right. They wanted me gone, out of their perfect picture. Then, when my book became a success, They wanted a piece of my fortune, my story, my fame. And now they couldn't reclaim either. My revenge was complete. They had lost their curated image, their social standing, and any claim to my future. A few days later, a handwritten letter arrived. Not an email, not a text. An actual letter. The return address was unfamiliar, but the name was a distant cousin I barely remembered. I opened it. "Shanice," it began, "I read your book, and I watched the interview. I just wanted you to know, you're not alone anymore. There are others in the family who see it, who felt it. We're here." A small smile touched my lips. Karma wasn't just about the pain inflicted or the justice served. It was also about the freedom to finally choose who your real family was, who you allowed into your life. My legs were still healing, but I was walking. And I wasn't walking alone anymore.